Welcome back to Red Pen of Destiny, here for another episode of Game of the Year. It's, of course, 1973 for this episode. A bit of an odd year, 1973. Didn't really have that many great games. Didn't really have many games total. We got a bunch of early attempts at text adventures. Most of them I do not believe were ever commercially released. Though then again, neither was the game we're looking at today. So, and then there were two Atari games, Gotcha and Space Race, both of which look pretty terrible, and neither of which I could find a way to play. We're not technically playing the correct version of Moonlander here. This is just a generic Lunar Lander type game, which apparently is a genre. I did not realize that Lunar Lander was a genre. But yeah, this is 1973's Moonlander, created by DEC, really just as a showcase to show off their fancy new vector graphic terminal, which I believe is for what's dubbed a mini computer, but which we would quite rightly describe as massive. I guess they were like mini in that they took up like 3 or 4 boxes instead of a whole room. But yeah, they're still huge by today's standards, but it's just some corporate showing off. But let's have a go. Let's start playing. So I'm not sure how accurate this is to the original. The original doesn't actually exist. I mean, it was on an old vector computer screen, so it's pretty hard to play an original. But it's, from what I gather, basically the same as 1979's Lunar Lander from Atari. You have a limited amount of fuel, and you then use your thrusters to slow down, and you try not to crash. Lunar Lander is not an easy game, neither is this. The key is, of course, to come down gently, but sometimes you end up in a bad position. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. I've actually got myself upward thrust now. So we're going to have to, like, trim slightly here. So we'll basically be covering this game twice because I'm a big fan of Lunar Lander. Yes! Perfect landing. Nailed it. So this particular version seems to give you fuel for several runs, and it's like how many times you can land. Okay, we're going to see if we can get to those 4s. I think that angle might be a bit off. Okay, here we go. But yeah, basically you have a thruster, which is sort of your brake, but then can become a... Oh, and that's what happens when you explode. You created a 2-mile crater. Okay, so I don't know if we can actually land this with this much fuel, because as you saw, it takes a lot of fuel to slow down. And of course, when you run out of fuel, you just plummet. Two successful landings, not bad. We will be able to stop with 83 fuel. I don't know. Definitely the best game I've played in this series, though this is kind of cheating. And what else we played? Pong. That was pretty terrible. Galaxy game was okay, but it was a little archaic, and there's the rest of my fuel, and there's an explosion. So that is a game of Moonlander. ostensibly. I assume the points in the score system probably weren't in the original. It was probably just the fuel. From what I gather, it definitely had the fuel system, which yeah, I guess you could play this without fuel. It could just be a thruster with infinite fuel, which would work for a showcase, I suppose. But yeah, big fan of Lunar Lander, and this precursor to it, I suppose, deserves some credit. But yeah, I think 73 will probably be one of the worst years for games that we can actually find. But yeah, we'll be back next week for the roleplay. If you're not familiar with that, I basically am role playing a character who cycles through different games, sort of quantum leap style. It's interesting. Hopefully, the quality will gradually improve. I think it's just a bit weird at the beginning, trying to get the character to comprehend it. And once he comprehends it, I think that's when it will get nice, easy. We get into the groove, and it'll be kind of fun. But yes, look forward to that. And then a week after that, we'll be back on Forza Motorsport, hopefully with no more recording issues. See you then.